Hey, I have another quick video for you today. I am going to do a quick demo about making a color wheel. And it is helpful if you keep a color wheel handy. And I'm going to go over some very fundamental things about the color wheel and about color that may help you. I've seen a lot of comments concerning color and what colors I'm using. You really don't need a whole lot of colors in a palette. I can do a pretty nice painting with this small little travel pan, and it covers most of the colors, at least primary and secondary colors, and then I supplemented it with earth tones in here. So I am going to paint you a color wheel, and if you're not familiar with it, maybe you are, you're a beginner, we'll assume you're wanting to know certain things. Oh, I know what I need to do. I'm going to kind of mark out on my piece. I've drawn a nice circle here. I'm just going to roughly mark out thirds on here. All right, so what are our primary colors? Are red, yellow, and blue. All right, so let's see here. Let's get some red going here. And from those three colors, we will be able to make all the other colors on the color wheel if we mix them properly. So I'm mixing up a fairly strong, gosh, that looks more like a rose. There we go, that's a little redder. We'll get a little mixture of these two together. Red. All right, I'm mixing a fairly thick consistency of red. And we'll just drop a nice little square of it right up here on the top of the circle. So there we go. That's our first color. We'll do the same thing for yellow. It looks a little dirty there, so this will clean it out a little bit. Nice thick consistency of yellow. And I've seen some tutorials where people are telling you 50% this, 50% that, but you really don't paint that way. You're thinking more of consistency and thickness by feel rather than by percentages. So, all right, so there's a nice yellowish. It's got a little bit of a residual red in it, so it might look a little more yellow orange than that. All right, now I'm going to use I think I'll use the ultramarine for my blue. Could be a primary blue, maybe a cobalt blue, just as long as we got a blue, right? So that's a nice blue, and I'll pop it right there. That's a little thin. Let me get a little more in it. There we go. All right, so we got a nice square of blue. And from there, that's our primary triad right there. All right, I'll just hash mark right between the 2 and 3 things right there. So that's where our secondary colors will go. So red and blue create violet. And I do have some purple on my porch, or on my porch, on my palette. And I'm just going to mix them together. So we'll get a nice violet here. Porch, where in the hell did that come from? All right, there, that's a red violet there. All right, there we go. There we go. Now we're getting a little more. That's a blue violet up there. Now we're getting there we go. That looks like a pretty good purple. And again, you're going to just have to develop your aesthetic towards the colors. So we'll drop a purple in right here. Kind of a muddy looking thing. All right, so there's our violet. And now we want red and yellow to create orange. So let's see if we can do that. Let me try to get my brush cleaned out better. All right, so let's drop a little red onto the yellow. I'm going to run out of painting locations here. There's a little more yellow. There we go, a little more red. All right, so we have an orange. All right. So there's our secondary color, the cross between yellow and red. And then we have blue and green. Oops, blue and yellow, which makes our green. So let's get our ultramarine over here. Oh, and I'm going to mess up my yellow. Oh, I'll clean it out later. There we go. Get a little more yellow. There we go. That's still too blue. There we go. There we go. We got a, oh, now it's, now it's looking a little too yellow. There we go. All right, so there's our green. Even got a little smidge of purple in it. So, all right, so there's our green. And that is a secondary triad. And now we'll just come in, hash mark between each one. I make my students do this in class just to practice, and they know this. I mean, everybody learned this in like grade school, I think, the primary and secondary colors. And now we'll try to do the tertiary colors. So violet and red, we're going to get a red violet. So let's start with that. A little more. There we go. So we got a red violet, and we'll drop it in there. Okay. Violet and blue, so we're going to look for a blue violet. So let's drop, we got a pretty good start up there. We'll just drop a little more of the blue into that. And is that going to look? Yeah, I think it will be. So yeah, it's a little thin. Get a little smidge more. There we go. All right, so a blue violet in theory. Blue and green, so we're looking for a blue green. Let's drop a little bit of, here, let's mix a little more of the yellow. We'll go for a yellow green first. All right, it's going to be a little brighter because of the yellow. Okay, drop it right in there. Good. Now I can make a mess here. Blue and green, let's get some of that ultramarine back in there. It needs to be bluer than green. At least what I painted down. All right, so that's a little more, just a smidge more. There we go. There we go. That feels better. So there's a blue-green. All right, yellow and orange. So we got a yellow-orange. So come over here. Uh-oh, I'm going to get some green. I'm going to clean this off first. There we go. How are we doing time-wise? 8 minutes. Oh, yeah, this is another short little video for you to watch. All right, so we're going to get this a yellow-orange. Okay, let's see if that looks better. Yeah, that's about right. Kind of between the two. And then red and orange, and we're going to go for a red-orange. And let's get all that icky out of there. All right, red-orange. A little more red. There we go. All right, and let's drop that in, and that should be our last color that we have on the color wheel. And all of those that I just painted are the tertiary triads. All right, so those are just good ways of combining colors together. You can use a secondary triad of your violet, orange, and green, or you can use your primary triads if you're really trying to limit your palette and work with colors that are natural, in a natural relationship on the color wheel. One of the key things, it took me years to finally realize this. I can't remember where I learned it, but you want to work, if you're worried about creating a muddy color, work with harmonious colors. And harmonious colors are any 5 touching colors on the color wheel. And you can start anywhere. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you use those 5 colors and mixing them together, you will not produce mud or a dirty looking color. They're harmonious, and so they will create an aesthetically pleasing looking color interaction if you work with those. It's when you go directly across to the complementary. So red and green together, you're going to start getting some muddy looking colors. And I mean, there are times when you do want a muddy looking color, a gray, a neutral, or whatever. That's what's happening, is those two colors are canceling each other out to get to a point. And using those three colors, red, yellow, and blue, you can really create any color on here. And really the pans of the color here, you know, they're more for convenience, and maybe you could work and do a lot of mixing, and it would take a lot of mixing, and it would really improve your color knowledge of what colors go into what. But you could get even the earth tones onto the mixed from these three colors. So I'm also a graphic designer, so I'm used to working with the CMYK color model as well, instead of the not the RGB, that's projection. So yeah, there's all sorts of color models that you have to work with. So anyway, think of that, your primary, tertiary, and secondary colors. I did that out of order, don't know why. I'm not re-recording. This is straight off the cuff, no edits or anything. So I'm trying to practice and become a better extemporaneous speaker. You'd think I'd have that after 28 years of teaching in college, but my students have had to suffer through that through all these years. So, all right, that is it. A color wheel. Have those handy. Mark them out. You can draw your little triangles in there and call them, that's your primary. You got your secondary triad. Where is it at? That right there. And then all of your, there they are. Or that's the orange. There we go, yellow, orange. Anyway, make a color wheel. It'll be handy for you. So have fun with that and keep it handy so you can refer to it and think about your color. You know, what's the opposite? What's your contrast color, your complementary color? So, all right, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Hey, if you like this video, give me a like and a thumbs up, or a subscribe even. I'd appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video.